Alrighty, so hi everybody, welcome to today's presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping items as we get started. If you could just keep yourselves on mute while the presentation is going on, and then feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have, or you could use a text chat as well. So I just wanted to welcome back our speaker. We've had her in a couple of biz camps and then presenting. I welcome back Monique Morrison. She's the founder of BigUps Consulting, Success with Digital and Moonbeam Healing. As a marketing professional, Monique is on a mission to help businesses Amazon-proof and keep mom and pop shops alive by making enterprise-level marketing methods accessible to everyone. She is a huge supporter of training and educating all things IT for her community, and is a coach in the Digital Marketer M3 Mastermind. Her superpower is being able to complex ideas and goals and break them down into easily understandable and actionable steps. She hosts webinars, live streams, and more, teaching those in Sault Ste. Marie and beyond how to properly implement digital marketing. Through her marketing expertise, she has been able to consistently drive revenue growth for clients. So we welcome you, Monique.
Thanks for having me. Awesome. So I will just get ready to share my slides here. And I am cool with, if you have questions along the way, feel free to unmute yourself, interrupt me, ask questions, and I will make sure to answer them along the way. I'm just waiting for my slides to load. There we go. I will share my screen. And you should be able to see my slides. Just let me know in the chat if you can.
Yeah, we can see them good.
Perfect. All right. So today I am going to be talking about launching CRMs and marketing automation for sales success. As mentioned, I'm Monique Morrison. I'm the founder of BigUps Consulting, which is my marketing agency, and Success with Digital, which is my coaching and training company on all things marketing. I am a trainer and coach with Digital Marketer, and I've been helping businesses launch both digitally and on location since 2006. And so I am a digital marketer, but my main focus over the course of almost 20 years has been helping local businesses market themselves online. And I'm very passionate about sharing my knowledge. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can ask throughout the presentation, and we'll have some time at the end as well. So what we are going to cover today and what you can expect from this training is we're going to talk about what is a CRM. We're going to go through some of the CRM basics. We'll talk about setup considerations. I'm going to go through what marketing automation is, because the two are really intertwined nowadays. And we'll talk about how you can use marketing automation. I'll go through examples. We'll talk about a little bit about different platforms for different goals. And we'll go through some clerical automation as well as email marketing automation, sales automation. I'm going to go through examples so you can see real live examples that I've implemented with my clients. And then just talking a little bit about how to get staff buy-in when launching these new automation systems. And then I'll go through some workflows as well. So to jump right into it, what is a CRM? A CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. So it's a software that really allows you to maintain your relationships with your customers in a way that saves you time, hopefully makes you more money, and also makes it easier for your customers to experience customer service with you and through you, and going through that sales process. So oftentimes, CRMs are used to safely and centrally store all of your contacts, your customers, your leads, prospects, all of those people. It allows you to track sales opportunities, activities, and also scheduled plans all in one place. And so Nowadays, CRMs, they really are these kind of robust softwares that usually have a lot of little sections to them: email marketing, sales pipelines, some even have invoicing and all of that fun stuff. Calendars, all of those things that you would need to manage in order to maintain that customer relationship. And so it really helps salespeople to optimize their daily schedules and helps to prioritize tasks to make sure that customers are not ignored and key prospects are contacted on time. And that's a really important one. All of those steps and moments of nurturing throughout the sales process are really important as you go through that sales cycle. You want to be able to let people know and touch base with them as needed. And then depending on the features of the CRM that you choose, a CRM may also be used for client billing as well. So I'm just gonna move the videos around. Okay, so some of the benefits to using a CRM are tracking your contacts and your customers, including multiple data points about those customers. And data point sounds really analytical, but I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. It also allows you to have trustworthy reporting. So how many leads is your business truly getting? How many of those leads are converting into clients? How many of those clients are turning into repeat customers? And so on and so forth. And so CRMs, one of the things that I love the most about it is that it really allows you trustworthy reporting. And with that reporting comes dashboards where you can visually showcase your data. You can see a lot of different information depending on what's important to you. So a lot of CRMs allow you to create these custom dashboards, but even ones that have just like turnkey dashboards, usually they're able to show you data in a way that's very visual. It also helps you improve your messaging with automation. Again, nowadays with so many things on our plate, especially as small business owners, it's important to be able to automate when possible. And another benefit of using a CRM is also having proactive service. And so this could be that someone does a service with you, you know that there needs to be a follow-up in 90 days to get them booked in again. You can use a CRM to be able to automate those types of messaging and really manage that customer relationship with them. And then also efficiency, which is enhanced by automation when you're using a CRM. And then another thing that I like and a benefit of using a CRM is that it has simplified collaboration. So I'm going to talk about what data points are. And this sometimes data points are called custom fields, custom values. There's different things, different ways that different CRMs, I've said different a lot, CRMs are used, what they call this, but essentially they're data points. And so when you think of a CRM, the way that they typically look at the information that you store in there is, especially when it comes to B2B, there's usually an account or a company, especially if you're doing B2B. And so a data point that you might want to have about a business would be their address, their phone number, a description or their industry, the number of employees, annual revenue, their industry or their vertical. And then typically underneath that, there's contacts that are assigned to that company. And so when it comes to contacts, the information that you might store about this person would be their email, their address, their number, they have an account number, different tags, and I'll get into that a little bit more into the presentation, and the lists that they're on. And then with contacts within a CRM, if you're using it to manage your sales pipeline, then there would be deals. And so deals and opportunities typically are the opportunities that you have to sell with this contact. And so deals and opportunities, information that you might, or data points that you might want to have in relation to that could be a deal title, a description, who on your team is the owner, a forecasted close date, potential revenue, their lead acquisition costs, and the status stage. So again, I will get into the stages of a pipeline in a little bit, but those are just some information that typically come out of the box when you're looking at different CRMs. So a good CRM will allow you to track data in a way that is useful to your company. So when I'm looking at CRMs and the CRMs that I use with my clients, typically I like to look at how it ships out just out of the box to me and the ways that I can edit and modify it in a way that works best for my company. Because sometimes it's no fun trying to fit a round peg into a square. If there is the ability to modify and adjust things so that it makes sense to be able to hide things that aren't useful to you and maybe to be able to add information that will be useful for you, then it's good to be able to have that uh, ability to edit and adjust things. All right. So I'm going to go through a sales pipeline example. And so this screenshot is from the CRM active campaign. But again, typically when you're looking at CRMs, you would find this in any information. So we had talked about how there's companies, there's contacts, and then there's deals. And then within those, there's data points. And so one of the first things when you're looking at a sales pipeline and you're wanting to map it out is you want to think about what information does your business need to track? Is there information, like if you say did wedding event rentals, you might want to have different information about the couple. So instead of a business, it might be a couple or a wedding that you're looking at in terms of the accounts. There would be contacts assigned to that, and then there would be the actual rental, maybe at their stag and doe, and then also at their wedding, which might be two separate deals. And so those are things that when you're looking at your pipeline, you'll want to think about your business and how you need to be able to manage that data. So this is a screenshot of Active Campaign, and this is just the kind of out of the box information that they give about their accounts. And so I was working with an HVAC company, and one of the bits of information that they needed to have was the billing address, because with their contacts, their HVAC companies, they did a lot of B2B. They worked with a lot of property managers. And so they might have deals and accounts that are different buildings with a property manager. But they had one specific billing address that they would always send their invoices to. And so the address of the account wouldn't necessarily be the address where they need to send their invoices to. And so when we were mapping out their CRM, we needed to add a field that listed billing address. And so we added that to the contact section. And under the deals, the projects that they were working on with these clients, there was also additional information that they needed to be able to see and understand when it came to these different opportunities. And so some of the custom fields that we added were, what type of project was this? Was this heating? Was this cooling? What type of equipment do they need to install? What is their old system? What is their new system? And I won't go through all of the fields, but just to give you an example, these are the type of things that you can add into a CRM that if you know that you need specific information about each deal or about each contact, you can think about what that information is and then be able to create these fields within your CRM in order to be able to have that information easily accessible to you, and you don't have to go searching through different documents and stuff later. It should just be all in the CRM. And so when you're looking at a sales pipeline, typically the way that you do this is by mapping out the different stages in your sales process. And so normally people would start as becoming either a prospect or a lead. And so a prospect might be people that you want to do business with, if you're doing more B2B, that you're thinking about reaching out to. There might be leads where people are actually inbound, have converted into a lead. And then there's people, in this example, there's people to contact, there's people that you're in contact with, there's people that have requested a proposal. Then you can have another stage where the proposal is sent. There might be a follow-up, and then there might be deal won or lost. And so this is from a top-down view of this last page. And so in this example, there was prospects, there was to contact, there was in contact, there was a stage for on hold, there was proposal requested, proposal sent, there's people for follow-up, there was a second follow-up if people needed to follow up again, and then there was the deal done. And within that deal done, we were able to mark if it was won or if it was lost. And so I'm going to kind of jump into some retail and e-commerce CRM examples. I've talked a little bit about B2B. Now I kind of want to get into talking about CRM examples if you sell products and services. And so this screenshot is a screenshot of the CRM email marketing software called Klaviyo. It integrates with Shopify. And so this is what I use for my, I have a retail location on also an e-commerce store, and I use Shopify for my site, and I have it integrated with Klaviyo. Now, when you have a retail or e-com environment that you are wanting to use a CRM with to be able to manage all that data, typically what you're looking for is a little bit different than a traditional sales pipeline like I showed you with sales. And so some things that you might want to understand, you might still have custom fields. Like for myself with my company Moonbeam Healing, we have a birthday club where we send out a coupon code when it's someone's birthday, or we send out a free gift. And that's a custom field that we've created in our CRM so that we're able to trigger emails that go out to these people on their birthdays. But some of the important metrics that you might want to be able to track with a retail CRM is how have they placed an order before? Have they placed an order in the last 30 days? How many have they placed all time? How much revenue a certain customer has been worth to you? If you've had fulfilled orders, refund, and how many checkouts they started. You might want to also be able to understand what list and segments they're in. And I'm going to talk about list and segments in a little bit. You're going to want their contact information. You might want to know where they came from, so their source. I do a lot of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads. And so I like to know, how are people coming onto my list? Are they signing up through a Facebook ad? Did they just sign up through my website? Those are all bits of information that are important. But I also like with Klaviyo is that I can look through and see all of the things that my different customers are doing within it, within the CRM. So I can see when they've added products, when they've removed products, when they've placed an order within here. I also have a loyalty program, which I'm able to track. So there's a lot of information that you can, as a retail and e-commerce person, also track within CRMs. And Klaviyo is just one of many options that you can use. And it does work really well with Shopify. So when it comes to retail and e-commerce, some of the things that I also like to track is different customer segments. And so there's people, when you think of email marketing, a lot of times people think of their newsletter, which is one list, but there's also different lists and segments that you can have within your list. And so there might be people that are on your newsletter list. There might be people that are on your SMS list, so that text message marketing. These are the segments that I have within my account. And so I'll just run through a little bit of them. There's also people that are unengaged, that they haven't engaged, opened an email or clicked an email in the last 90 days. I want to be able to track that because I want to be able to track that information so that if people aren't engaging with my content anymore, then I want to move them off my newsletter list, because as you're sending out emails, you don't want to have low open rates, because if you do, then the ISP, the email providers like Gmail, Hotmail, the people, iCloud, the people that create these accounts, they judge you based on what your open rates are, your engagement rates are. And so I like to track my unengaged subscribers. And then if I need to, I can do a re-engagement campaign and all that fun stuff. I won't get too much into the email marketing because we're talking about CRMs today, but if you have questions about that, feel free to ask. And then there's people that are engaged in the last 3 months. So these are the people that are really engaged in the last 90 days. I have new subscribers. I have unengaged, so people that I have unengaged for 3 months. I also have unengaged for 1 year. I have win back opportunities. So these are people that have placed an order at least once in the lifetime of them being on the list, but they haven't placed an order in the last 6 months and they haven't unsubscribed. So these are people that are have the ability to have a win back, to be able to win them back as customers. There's churn risk. So this is more for membership style. If you have any type of membership, you want to be able to understand if people are um, have the capacity to churn or to cancel their membership. And then there's repeat buyers. And this is just really people who have purchased more than once and haven't unsubscribed. All right, so those are kind of like basics of like what you're looking at when you're looking at CRMs. Now I'm just going to walk through some of the basic terminology when it comes to CRMs. So there's lists. The primary purpose of lists is to segment your contact at the broadest possible level. So contacts can subscribe and unsubscribe from lists, and you can create lists on, typically there's a list page within your account, whether it's MailChimp, whether it's Klaviyo or ActiveCampaign, there's usually a place where you can create lists. And so you might have a list for newsletter subscribers. For myself, I do wholesale. So I have a list of wholesale. I have a wholesale newsletter list. And then I also have an affiliate program. I have a loyalty list. And so I have all of these lists that people are on, and I can send emails specifically to people that are on those lists. And then there's forms. So forms can be used as a way to help you grow your contact database to be able to get people into your CRM. Depending on the type of form you create, you can collect very basic information such as a name and an email address, which is usually recommended when it comes to just a newsletter sign up. You don't want to ask too much information for something that is a pretty small commitment. But you can also collect even more information such as a birthday, phone number, special interests. Especially if you're service-based, you might want to have more information about the service that they're interested in. And so once you kind of create these forms within your CRM, you'll be presented with different ways that you can integrate it into your different web assets. So you can integrate it as a pop-up on your site. You can embed it onto a page on your website. A lot of places let you push it to your social media if you want to have a page on your social media. So there's different ways that you can then take these forms, put them out into the World Wide Web, and then allow people to join onto your lists. So the next thing are tags. And tags, to be honest, are probably the number one piece that is used when using a CRM and when really wanting to segment the people that are on your list. And so newsletters are very, lists are very high level lists of contacts. Tags allow you to enable deeper segmentation beyond that. And so generally tags will either help you stay organized or cause an action, and sometimes they can do both. And so an example of this would be that someone has come through and they have filled out a form for a specific service. They get put onto my list as a lead. They get put into the sales pipeline. But depending on the service or what the form that they filled out, or even the check boxes on the form, I'm then able to tag them and say that they might be interested in website design. that they might be interested in Facebook ads. Maybe they're looking at training. And so I can tag my contacts with this information based on things that they've done. And then in the future, I can send messaging or I can do things with that information moving forward. And so say they don't convert into a training client right away, then in the future, I can take all the people that have training interest tagged, but they're not actually a customer yet, and start sending them emails very specifically to what they have shown me that they're interested in. And so tags are the main uses for tags are typically organization, serving as a start trigger, or showing conditional content. And what conditional content is content that's usually shown within your emails um, only to specific people. And so if I were to send out an email and say I had a membership and I'm sending out an email to all members, there's a generic message that I want all members to receive. That might be the first paragraph, but then maybe below that I have uh, content that specific messaging that I only want to show to my gold members or my bronze members or my silver members. You can use tags to kind of serve this conditional content to people within emails. And I know that MailChimp does this well as ActiveCampaign. There's other platforms as well that does it. But essentially, once you get into using a CRM, you'll find that tags are something that become a really important part of how you stay organized and how you trigger things. And so someone might fill out a form, and I'll just give an example of when we're talking about actions. Someone might fill out a form, and after that, a tag gets added to them, and then that will trigger an email to go out. And so that's the next thing that we're going to talk about are what are triggers. So triggers are conditions that start automations. And so I've talked a bit about email newsletters, which kind of go out, you plan those are campaigns that you plan to go out. But the beauty of using a CRM really is that you can automate emails. You can set up automations that allow you to save time because they are the same emails that need to go out to everyone. So triggers are conditions that start automations. And with them, you're able to specify exactly how contacts will be added to these automations so that they can proceed through your workflow. And oftentimes you can add multiple conditions so that the same automation might start in multiple ways. All right, so next I'm going to talk about segmentation. Segmentation is the act of grouping your contacts by either attribute or action. And so I showed you that segment list, all those different lists that I have in my Klaviyo account for my retail store. That is what segmenting is just grouping contacts either by attribute. So say they are all people that are in Ontario or people that are local. And then or by action. So people that haven't purchased from me or opened an email in the last 90 days. So you can create different segments within your lists. And the purpose of segmentation is really to bring more personalization to your marketing. One of the things with email marketing is that it has an amazing return on investment. So typically for every dollar you spend on email marketing, you make back 40 times return. And that's just an average. And I believe now it's even higher, that statistic. But typically for the longest time, it's been $1 you put in, $40 back. And so a lot of that has to do with not just the newsletters that you send out, but the automations that you send out. And so segmenting is really important because you don't want to burn your list out by sending them all messages for all things. You want to really be specific about you want to be intentional about the emails and the messaging that you send to people, and that you want it to be messaging that is most likely to convert them into a customer or a repeat customer. And so don't worry if you have a really small list and you're like, I don't know if I should segment. If you know that, say someone purchased a product from you and you're going to send out a promotion for that product and it's not something that is going to be a repeat buy, then chances are you don't need to send them. I'll give an example. We do websites. And if someone just purchased a website from me within the last year, chances are they're not ready to get a redesign on their website. And so if I have them marked as a website client, then when I go to send out an email, I'm going to exclude the people that have recently gotten a website from me. I'm only going to send it to people that haven't. And if I included those people that have gotten a website from me, that would just be effort for them having to delete that email to use that email. It wouldn't be useful for them to receive. And so segmentation is really important when it comes to sending out emails to the right emails to the right prospects at the right time. All right, so I've talked a little bit about automations, but just to kind of dive more into what automations are, they're essentially a sequence of events that you create to help execute your business processes. So if you think of automation as an assembly line, you have a conveyor belt and can add to it as many workstations as you please. And so events occur at these workstations, and sometimes they're called actions. So an email might be an action. There's different actions that you can take. So when you activate an automation, you in essence power up the stations and turn on that conveyor belt and move those contacts through from action to action, from station to station until they reach the end of the sequence. And this really truly is the beauty of implementing a CRM. I have a client, she's a health practitioner. She's one person, a solo practitioner. And one of the hardest things for her is keeping up with emails, keeping up with bookings, requests, that kind of thing. And she just used to do it all manually. We implemented a CRM for her where we had it where people could call into her, and if she didn't pick up, um, based off a missed call, the system was able to send a text message to the person, say, "Hey, I saw I missed your call. I'm with a client right now. Is there something that I can help you with?" And then she was able to, when she comes out of a session, be able to see all of the text messages that came from these people and be able to book them in. Also, when a new client would come on, she would always send them a client intake form. She would have policies and procedures, a whole bunch of information that needs to go to each client. That was something that was perfect to automate, because as soon as she adds someone in and they get booked into a specific service, it would be able to send out those emails automatically. There was also a form that they had to sign. And so we were able to have that form set up as a form through her CRM where it had the signature field, and then the system would send it out and it would check, did they complete that form, 2 days later? And if not, it would send a reminder. And if not, it would send a reminder. And so those are things that she used to have to chase people around with prior to that she doesn't have to anymore. Another thing is like follow up after a service. And so she has some services where people will come and then they're supposed to come back in 3 months. And so when she's booking the service, she was able to mark, the system would update the next appointment date or follow-up date 90 days in the future. And then when it got to that time, there's just an automation that would go out that would say, "Hey, Jane, it's time for you to get back in for this service. When works for you?" And so there's all kinds of automations that you can put into place with your business. And I just wanted to give you some context of how one particular person is using it. So there's some things to consider when with your CRM when you're going to set it up. So what are the different stages of your sales process? If this is important, especially if you're a service-based business, you want to understand what are those different stages. People that do on-site services like home renovations, they might have different stages in their sales process, like having to actually go on site to be able to do a quote, to do measurements, where someone that does services just needs to have a discovery call and maybe be able to put a proposal together based on that. And so you want to understand the different stages of your sales process and what is the current process that prospects flow through. And so we're talking about stages, but what are all the things along the way that people need to flow through? And so, are there client intake forms that they need to do? Are there signatures that you need to get? Is there invoices that need to go? Are there deposits that you need to collect? There's a lot of information processes that people might go through along the way. And then once you have that mapped out, the next and fun question to ask is which touch points can be automated? Um, there are some things that can be automated, and there's definitely going to be some things that aren't okay to be automated or that just will always require a human touch. But once you have those mapped out, you're able to then look at what can and cannot be automated. And then you'll want to look at any other softwares that you're using, if there's integrations that would be appropriate, and would they, if you integrate with other softwares that you're using, will it save you time and money? And then another thing to consider is how easy will it be to implement? And if you have a team of staff, how will you transition your team to be using this CRM, to be using this different software? How are you going to get buy-in from the people that work for you? All right. So when it comes to marketing automation, I've talked quite a bit about this, especially on the CRM side. But just to kind of recap, marketing automation allows you to automate tasks and workflows. It allows you to profile your different prospects and your customers. It allows you to send automated, personalized emails. It allows you to support nurturing your leads and your customer engagement as well. And so, some ways that you can use marketing automation would be to automatically send invoices and payment reminders. It might be streamlining your social media posting. So, a lot of people, they might have posts, especially branding posts, that they want to have go out all the time or on repeat. There might also be social posts that if you have a deal every week on the same day, you might have posts that you want to have repeat go out. So that's an example of social media posting automation. You might use it to onboard new clients and also new staff, being able to let them know what to expect, what is expected of them, all of that fun stuff. And then it can also help you to automate and target your marketing specifically. So when it comes to implementing a CRM, 74% of marketers say that they have a competitive advantage in customer engagement and loyalty, and 55% say that they have increased revenues once they've implemented a CRM. So without a doubt, very important to have, very important to track, very important to implement a CRM. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about platforms for different goals. And so when you're starting to look at a CRM or ways that you could implement marketing automation or email automation, there's different platforms. So typically there's email platforms and then there's CRM platforms. And so an example of email platforms could be ActiveCampaign, there's MailChimp. A lot of people really like Drip. Klaviyo is great, especially for e-commerce. There's HubSpot, which is a great platform as well, but it gets really pricey for small businesses. And then there's just, Gmail, Outlook, that kind of thing. Then there's CRMs. So an example of a CRM, again, would be ActiveCampaign. They're both an email marketing platform and a CRM. There's HubSpot, Salesforce, High Level, Honeybook, Jobber. Those are all examples of CRMs where when we talked about those data points at the beginning, being able to track all of that information about your customers, that's really what a CRM does. But using a software that combines a CRM and email marketing functionality truly makes marketing much easier. And so I suggest that if you are beginning the process of implementing a CRM, then definitely look at a CRM that allows you to not only track and manage those customer relations, but also has the ability to do email marketing. And so that way you're not trying to integrate two different platforms. You're using one platform that serves as both, and it will make your marketing much easier. All right, so now I'm going to run through some automation examples so you can get a feel for the different types of automations that are possible to implement in your business. So there's onboarding emails. So this could be sending out a series of emails to new contacts, clients, or employees, and this really helps to remove tedious explanations of tasks from staff. So typically the way that this rolls out is there's usually a step one, an opt-in. Maybe not for a team member, maybe not for a client. You might have them, they get opted in when they sign a proposal or something like that. But there's usually that first step, which is like getting them onto the list. And so this is an example of an opt-in that we did for Lions Timber Mart, where someone can join their email list. They save $15 off their next purchase of $50 or more. People sign up, they opt in. And then step two is there's this next, once they opt in, there's going to be a series of emails that go out. So this is typically called an indoctrination series, or you might have heard it called a welcome email series. And so usually the second step is for them to get an email right away, their first email on day one. If they're signing up because you've offered them some kind of promotion, then typically you'll want to give them that promo code in this email. And so for my company, Moonbeam, we give people 10% off their first purchase. As soon as they sign up on the website or through an ad, they get sent the first email that has some branding information, but also includes that promo code. And then on the third step is that they get a second email. So typically we send this second email on the second day. So they get the second email the second day. And this is where we might follow up with additional information, resources, blog posts, letting them know where to connect with us. And what the role of this is really to try to get them to interact with more pieces of our content. And then we can send out a third email on day 3, asking them to join us on social media or YouTube, wherever you put additional content. And then in this particular example, we had a 4th email on day 20. And so the email promo code was good for 30 days. And so at day 20, we send them an email saying, hey, there's only 10 days left to use your promo code before it expires. Make sure to come into the shop. And so this is really just a follow-up to make sure that they're going through that. Now, if you do have a retail or e-commerce store where, like for instance, Shopify, I use Shopify with Klaviyo. Klaviyo and Shopify speak to each other, and so I'm able to see who has used their promo code, and so I wouldn't send this follow-up to someone that has used their promo code because it's not required. So as soon as they use and they place that first order, they get removed from this series. But if not, it's okay. You can still send out these emails to people. All right. So when it comes to accounting, some automations that you can set out is automatically send out invoices and reminders, and then also to have payroll managed and automatically submitted to the government. So you can do that through different platforms like waveapps.com is a great free software. The payroll part of it is a paid service, but you can submit all your information to all your payments to the government for payroll and all that fun stuff right through the software. So email replies and follow-ups are a great thing to set up as automations as well. So in most email platforms, I know in Google I use this, you can create standard responses that you find yourself retyping over and over, and then be able to input that into your draft email so that you don't have to type as much. You can also set up reminders to automatically follow up in a certain number of days. And so if someone says, hey, Monique, follow up with me next week, I will, right at that point, hit a reply, write the email, and I'll schedule it to go out that morning. So I don't have to try to remember a week from now. it will do it automatically. And then when it comes to scheduling, you can have people book online and send automated reminder emails. So the CRM that I use, and the one that I use primarily with my clients, it has calendars booked, built right into the software. And so as soon as people book in, we're able to send out these emails. We're able to take payments or deposits upfront for paid services. And it also allows customers to reschedule appointments online. So the emails that go out to them, there is a little thing that says, hey, if you need to reschedule, here's a link to be able to do that. And so instead of them having to email in and ask you to reschedule, there's a link right there where they're able to do that as a self-service option. And then depending on whether or not you have a cancellation policy, whether they can get a refund for a deposit, all that fun stuff, you can build all those into automations where for myself, if their appointment is less than 24 hours, in those remaining follow-up emails, I remove the reschedule option where they have to reach out, because depending on the circumstances, they may or may not get that session credit back. All right, so now I'm going to show you some workflow examples. So this is a sales and lead gen example for a car dealership. So I was working with this dealership, and when I met with the sales team, the sales guys said that the hardest part for them in the sales cycle is after someone's purchased. They often forget about the people that have purchased because they're so busy dealing with people on the floor, but they know that they want to be able to follow up with people after the fact. And so this is an example where when someone gets added and purchases a vehicle from them, and they get added to the new customer list, it'll wait a day and then it sends out an email congratulating them. This goes out from the salesperson, and then it waits 3 days, and then it sends additional thank you. This one goes out from the dealership owner, and then they wait 60 days, so 2 months, and it sends out an additional email saying, hey, it's been a couple months. How are you enjoying your car? Is there anything else I can do to help you? And then it goes, it waits for 300 days. So now we're a year out from when they purchase their vehicle. It sends another follow-up to them. And then again, one at 2 years and one at 3 years. And so these were things that the salespeople typically wouldn't really remember to do unless they were really diligent, but the system takes care of that for them. They get to send out these personalized emails, and it really helps with that repeat purchasing. All right. So this is an example of an e-commerce retail example. This is for a home renovation. And so what happened here was that the client was having these renovation projects. They always wanted to be able to tell people what to expect when they were having a renovation done at their home. And they also mailed out certificates of completion. And based on that date is when the warranty would be valid. And so we were able to automate that process. And so a team member would fill out a form when a new project was started, and that would add someone to this automation. It would send them the first email saying, hey, you're starting a project with us, and it would include all the information that they needed to know. It might get messy, it might get dusty. These are the things. They might not have to wear shoes in the house, those kind of things. And then they would wait until they were marked as project completed. So again, a staff member would mark them as completed, and then it would send them an email with a certificate of completion. That certificate was right within the email, and it would show today's date in that email so that that was the date the certificate of completion was valid from. It would wait 3 months. Also in that certificate of completion, when it was sent out, we sent out included a Google review request. It would wait 3 months, follow up being like, hey, are you still loving your renovation? Just a touch base. And then 75 days after that, this particular client was an Air Miles rewards partner. And so they offered, after 75 days, they said, hey, so you've done your renovation. Are you looking to do another one? If so, here's some bonus Air Miles that you can get. I think they gave 1,000 bonus Air Miles if they started another project with them. So here's another example of an employment agency, and this one's pretty straightforward. A new client gets added, and this is after they've come in, they need help with employment, and then an email gets sent out to them with their follow-up information. And then based on whether or not they show up to that, there's different emails that get sent out. So if they are a no-show, it says, hey, what are you doing? Do you still need help with employment? If they did show up, then it would give them some resources that they always covered in that first appointment, just to kind of show up. All right, so then another automation, I talked a little bit about this, are birthday clubs where people can sign up with their birthday and then be able to receive a gift for you. So for Sandro's restaurant, they give a free piece of cake on someone's birthday. Typically, people don't go out to eat by themselves on their birthday, but it's a nice gift and people come in, they like to get their piece of cake, but they're typically bringing people with them. So the couple dollars for that free gift on a birthday can really have a large return on the investment of the cost of cake. So that's an example of a birthday club. There's also a reward system, so you can automate people earning points, being able to use those points as well. And then something that not all CRMs, very few CRMs have, but can be integrated with, is Wi-Fi marketing. And so for this particular client, we have it where people, when they're in the restaurant, they can sign up for an email list. And once they're in an email list, they once they sign up to the email list in the restaurant, it waits about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then it sends them a Google review request. Would you recommend us to a friend? Other examples would be cart abandoned, customer win back. So if someone hasn't shopped with you in an amount of time, that's an automation that you can send out. There's post-purchase follow-up. So you might send out receipts, but say there's a product that you want people to understand how to use that particular product. If they've purchased a product from you, you can send them automated emails with some follow-up information. That's a really good way to be able to surprise and delight people. So I did have project workflows that I was going to run through, but I noticed that we're at 11:53, so I don't really know if I should run through those or if we
Well,
should just kind of go into questions.
I mean, we have like maybe like a couple minutes after 12 if we had to stop. There's another webinar that begins at 12:15. So,
Okay.
what would you like to do?
Um, well, maybe I won't dive into the whole thing, but maybe what I'll do is I'll just show, it's just an example of how we map out our when we're mapping out a CRM. So I talked at the beginning just about being able to map out your CRM. And so I think it's important. This is just an example. I use Google Slides. You don't need a fancy software. I use Google Slides. You can use PowerPoint. But when I was talking about mapping out your different sales pipelines, we usually do this before we even dive into a CRM. So this is an example of a pipeline for that HVAC company. And then from there, even the emails and different stuff that happens, we have different pipelines that we map out, like, okay, this is what needs to happen, who needs to be notified, did they book an appointment, and all of this information. So I won't dive into it just to save on time, but just to give you an idea, this is something that we map out in Google Slides or any mind mapping software prior to setting it up. So that way, when you go in, it's not so confusing. You're kind of going in with a plan, and it just makes it much easier to do. All right.
Perfect. Okay. Does anybody, we can open the floor up now for any questions if you have questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Nectaria, and I have a couple of questions. So one is, I think you said, and maybe I missed it, you said something about tracking rates of opening. Is that things like Google and like Google Mail? If I'm sending, if 300 people are on my list who have Gmail and only 10 of them open it, is that Google's going, oh, that email only got opened by a few people, so that's spam? Like, who's tracking it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's the actual the providers.
Okay.
So
Email provider.
Yahoo,
Okay.
and also even the platform that you're using. So if you were, say, using MailChimp to send out emails, if you have really low open rates, really high unsubscribe rates, those kind of things, they look at that. And so it's really who you're sending from, and also the people that
Yeah.
are receiving it,
Okay.
that mark it
And
as
then
spam.
the other question, so I use Wix. I've thought about switching to Shopify, but I don't have the time to like figure out another one at one point. And mine is mostly e-commerce. And right now I use like Wix has automations, Wix has email marketing, so I'm like using them. But I'm curious if you have thoughts on like using something like a third party one, which I've heard of Klaviyo. I just got back from a conference and several people there were talking about Klaviyo, I don't know how you say it. So it sounds like that's a good one. I'm just curious, like if, I don't know if Shopify has its own and you're choosing to use Klaviyo anyway, Klaviyo. Just curious.
Shopify does have their own.
But you
Yeah,
think
Shopify does
Klaviyo
have
is
their.
better?
Yeah, yeah. It just gives so much more information.
And
Like,
because it's integrated, does it still, like, I know part of the benefit, I guess, of using something that's like the web provider is I don't necessarily need as many people to say they accept cookies, right? Like I think that like even if somebody doesn't accept it because it's Wix, they're on it anyway, they're able to pull the info, like because it's integrated with it, is that still
yeah, it's fully integrated. So all my
okay?
customer information, it automatically moves back and forth
Okay.
between the platform. So it's a true integration. So
Okay.
there's some integrations where you have to do the integration yourself,
Right.
which is typically you have to be pretty technical to do that. But
Yeah.
then oftentimes there's like integrations where it's just they've already built it. You just need to sign up and maybe
Yeah.
put in an API key and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did
So
see it's one of the apps that's kind of I can add on or whatever. So, and then my last question is I'm curious your thoughts. One of the things that I want to do, and there's a limitation with the Wix ones, is I want to ask my customers for reviews. And I do have an option within Wix to ask for reviews, but it's the trigger is based on order date. And they only give like it's only within 7 days or 14 days. Like I can't choose a different timeline. And my challenge is that, and because that's like Wix, it's not even their automation, it's their automation in the loyalty program bucket. It's not even an option in their regular automation. So my challenge is I make my products to order. So some orders go out within a day and some orders take a week to go out. And so I'm waiting 2 weeks for all of them. But I what I would like, and I've asked them for this, but it can't happen yet, is a trigger based on when I click fulfilled. Like I'm entering a tracking number and that's what I want the trigger to be. And I can't find where in Wix the like fulfilled trigger is, but it's got to be a data point because in my screen, I have a thing that says fulfilled. And so there's got to be somewhere that has that. I'm just curious your thoughts. Like, I don't know if Shopify's the same way where and I don't know if you have experience with Wix, but I'm just kind of curious, is Klaviyo something that like you can do it based on ship date instead of curious your thoughts.
I have review request automations that go out, and I do it based on delivery date or fulfillment date. So because I have a shop too, so if someone comes in right away, I can ask them almost immediately to be
Right.
able to send a review.
Okay.
But if it's a shipped product, I'm able to within Klaviyo say that I want for it to wait until
And you're
it's
able to do
fulfilled.
it based on the fulfillment info. Okay, I'm gonna play with maybe adding that in and maybe that's some more thing. Thank you. I appreciate. Oh, I'm sorry. Last question. You had a list of email marketing things and a list of CRMs, and I noticed Klaviyo wasn't on the CRM one. So is Klaviyo only?
Here's a reminder.
Alexa, stop. I have a reminder. Alexa's trying to remind me to do stuff.
Klaviyo is a CRM, not a true CRM, like a sales CRM, like a service-based business would be, where you can track pipelines. But from a retail e-com standpoint, it definitely is a CRM where you can go in and be able to track from a retail standpoint what they're doing, how many orders, all of that fun stuff. So it's not a true CRM, but from a retail e-coms aspect, definitely is a CRM.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you for your time and for the presentation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Hi.
Oh, yep, go ahead.
I work with a nonprofit. They're a client of mine, and they're trying to implement a CRM or a new way to manage their data. Are there options that are more affordable or better, like more specifically for nonprofits, or do you know that?
Yeah, so honestly, most CRMs do offer nonprofit pricing. And so I would, if there's one in particular that's of interest to you, I would just rate their support and ask them what their nonprofit pricing is. Because even though they might not list it on their website, most times they do offer nonprofit and student pricing.
Okay, and for the setup, is it like pretty much the same thing as for a business, for example? Or like there's things that would be different, obviously, but for the process, do you think it's more or less the same, or do I have to be like
Yeah.
to
I would say that it's more or less the same. For you, depending if you do like donation drives, campaigns, that kind of thing. I don't know if you're a nonprofit that takes donations. It'd be a little bit different in the way that you set it up because you're not really making sales of products. You might have products that are for sale, but you're looking for donations and drives. And so the way that you set it up is probably going to be very similar. It's just the context in the email content and that kind of thing would be a little bit
Okay.
different, but very similar.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
No. Okay. Well, oh, sorry. I'm going to turn this on. Thank you so much for coming or joining us today and presenting this. I know there's always a lot of questions and a lot of stuff that we do learn and the importance of having one and stuff like that, right? Especially as you grow your business. So thank you so much for coming and presenting today, and we welcome you back as always. And thanks everybody for joining us today. We appreciate having you here and wish you all a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Thanks. Same to you. Thanks for having
Okay.
me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.